Right, I think we should get started. Mark, do you mind sharing your screen just to make sure that we can see the presentation that we're going to do? So today, guys, we're going to go through a little presentation, and then we're going to have a demo of Screenspace. So my name is Dan. I'm the operations manager at Pitch Hero. We are always on the lookout for ways to help grassroots and amateur sports clubs, whether it's new technology, new methods of helping them improve the way that their club is run. So when Screenspace approached their products, which you'll see during this webinar and during the demo, we thought it was a great fit, and it's a great product that we wanted to bring to you guys. So I'm joined today by Mark Easterbrook, who's the Screenspace CEO, and Steve Glenister, who's the CTO at Screenspace. And today we're going to talk about Screenspace and how you can double your fundraising in just 5 minutes. So before I start, just a little bit of housekeeping, just to make sure that everyone's comfortable with how these webinars are going to go. You should have a chat function or a question and answer function on your Zoom screen. Please, throughout the webinar, just ask as many questions as you like. I'm going to be monitoring those chats and the Q&A just to make sure there's something that maybe that is people aren't understanding or they want to know a bit more about. I might be able to jump in whilst Mark or Steve are doing the demo, and I'll be able to just kind of ask them to clarify it. But then at the end of the webinar, we'll do a question and answer session. So if there's any questions that don't get answered, I'll ask the guys at the end, and then there'll be plenty of opportunities for you guys to ask some more if you wanted to find out a bit more information. So without further ado, I'll pass on to you, Mark, if that's all right, and if you wanted to crack on.
No problem, Dan. Thank you very much. As Dan said, my name is Mark Easterbrook. I'm one of the sort of sales guys at Screenspace. A couple of things really. First of all, a big thank you to everybody. I realise you're giving up your own time. It's 7 o'clock at night, so I'm really grateful for that. What I promise we will do is we will give you something that's worthwhile to take away with you. It's not a hard sell or anything like that. It's something that when you see it, when you use it, you'll think, wow, how do we ever manage without that? That's number one. Number two, what I would say in the presentation is obviously anytime you do things over Zoom, and particularly something where we're doing a live sort of presentation of our CMS, you may find there's a tiny little lag if we're showing things like videos and that. So, please bear with us. Hopefully it will sort of settle, but in the initial stages, that might happen. Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to go straight into it. Our agenda for tonight is very simple. I want to cover what is Screenspace and how can it help you in your fundraising. That's what you're here for. That's what we're going to focus on. We're going to give you something that hopefully will really, really get you thinking and ultimately help you and your club raise funds. We're going to touch on how easy is it to set up. We're going to cover how do you create adverts and messages, and that's where it'll get really interesting, and we're going to get creative. Literally, we're going to do a live demo, show you how easy Screenspace is to use. We'll also give you a little glimpse of the future of Screenspace. It's not just what we're doing today, it's what literally in the next month or two is going to come out. Again, it's really smart, really simple, and at that point I'll introduce Steve. He's our Chief Technical Officer, CTO, and he's the kind of genius behind Screenspace. He's a really interesting guy, so you'll see that. I then want to remind you of what Screenspace can deliver for your club. I'm going to spend a tiny bit of time on that because really that's what it's all about. We're here to give you solutions and help you. We'll be very open in things like pricing and that. And also finally at the end, as Daniel said, there is a question and answer session at the end, but if you want to interrupt us in between time, fire something into the chat and we'll be happy to help you. So just moving on very quickly. So how can Screenspace help your club increase its fundraising? Well, it's very simple. What we're going to do for you tonight is we're going to turn your club TV into a digital advertising display that can display images, messages, and videos. So very simply, at a price you won't believe, we're actually going to turn your TV into a digital sign that can do exactly almost anything else that the big guys you see sort of in other sort of more professional sort of sporting arenas versus amateur. And it's really, really simple, easy to use and intuitive. So the first thing is really, what is Screenspace? Well, this is the kind of written summary of it. I'm not going to read that out to you. You can read it yourselves. But essentially what Screenspace is, it's a digital signage solution. It's a little player that when it plugs into your TV screen, it can turn it into a digital sign. When it's connected to Wi-Fi and you access it online, what you can then do is update those screens from anywhere in the world. So hypothetically, you could be sitting at home during the week, you decide that you want to update your screen in the clubhouse, providing the screen's on, the Wi-Fi's on, you could send brand new content while you're sitting there having a sort of meal with your family or a drink watching TV. So it really is very flexible, very accessible. One of the questions we always get asked is, how easy is Screenspace to use and set up? Well, to use Screenspace, what you'll need is a Wi-Fi connection, a computer with a USB port, a Screenspace player, and a USB stick. Now, that's just for the initial setup. Once it's set up, you could then control Screenspace via a tablet if you wanted to. It's really very much up to you, but I always think either a laptop or a desktop is much easier. In terms of Screenspace, it works straight out of the box. So literally, the box turns up, everything you need to connect your player is in there. It's really, really straightforward, nice, easy instructions. More importantly, Screenspace takes all of its power from the screen, so there's no extra installation. So if you're sitting there worrying about, I'm not a tech guy, I don't know how to do this, if you've ever at home just plug the device into the back of your TV, such as a Blu-ray player or similar, Screenspace is very much the same thing. It literally plugs into the back of the screen, 2 cables, that's it, and then we connect it. So the first one going in is the USB power cable. Second one going in is the HDMI, and that's going to take the image that will appear on that box and put it on the screen. So it's really, really straightforward. Once that's done, all you then do, and I'll touch upon it very briefly later, you simply log into your Screenspace account. Once you get a player from us, you also get an account with a password and a login. You name your player. So when I say name the player, you might call it main bar TV. You enter your Wi-Fi details. So here we've got our club Wi-Fi. It creates a little file. You download it to the USB stick, plug it into the player. That's it. That's the setup process. Once that's done, it means that that screen now is a connected smart screen. You can access it from anywhere in the world. Okay, how do you create adverts and messages? Well, Screenspace is a cloud-based solution. We're going to visit our website in a minute, log in, and then we're going to get creative. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to cut away from sharing this. I'm going to share my login page. So this is screenspace.live, which is our website. And what we're going to do now is we're going to log into our what we call CMS. So what CMS stands for, Content Management System. Don't get alarmed by what you see or anything like that. Basically, it's just a control panel. If you want it in simple terms, it's where you're going to make adverts. It's where you're going to save those adverts, create playlists. If you want to schedule them, meaning you can automatically arrange for adverts to be played at certain times of day or certain days of the week, whatever. And it's basically where you're going to be able to manage everything you want to do in Screenspace. Just a very quick tour of what you're looking at here. First of all, we've got our adverts. So these are all adverts that I've made and saved. I've then got playlists. In exactly the same way at home, if you're listening to your music, you pick your favorite tracks, you create a playlist. We do exactly the same in Screenspace. So if you've got 3 or 4 adverts that you want to run together, you'll put them into a playlist. We've also got schedules. So if I want to create a playlist and then schedule it to appear at a certain time, Saturday between 11 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the evening. No problem at all. I can go ahead and schedule that here. I've then also got my screens, new button, and then last but not least is support, which we won't need to sort of bother you with. And beyond that, you've got schedules as well. Beyond that, you've got your account as well. I'll touch upon that very quickly. Now, the most important button that we're going to use, and I'm going to do for the purpose of the demo, is always going to be the new button. So if I want to create an advert, I'm going to click new advert. And I've got a choice between a portrait and a landscape. I'm going to do landscape simply because the majority of your club TVs will be landscape. So let's click landscape. And essentially what you end up with now is a blank canvas. Now, when we talk about Screenspace and digital signage, for us, it's essentially three elements: text, images, and videos. There's three ways in which we can actually create content or introduce it into Screenspace. I'm going to very quickly just show you all three. So number one, it might well be that the club has got an existing video, or it's something you've downloaded from another source or another website. So, and that could be a video or an advert. It doesn't make any difference, like a static advert. In this case, we're just going to take a video, click add video. I've got two choices here. I can either go to my file, and that basically takes me to my computer and the files on there, or I go to my library. One of the lovely things about Screenspace is you get unlimited storage. So as many adverts and everything you want can be stored there, and you can use them again and again. In this case, I'm just going to go to a file on my desktop. That's the file I want to select. What it's doing now is uploading to the cloud. Screenspace is actually all built and hosted on Amazon AWS, so it's very reliable, and it means that it's good sort of reliable service. So what it's doing now is optimizing that video and adjusting it, and any second now that will save up, disappear. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to right click here and just say, right, I want to fit that to my screen. That's my advert ready. I'm going to name the advert. And then I'm just going to save that advert. Now, one of the things I could do at this point, if I wanted to, even though I've uploaded that advert from another source, I could actually overwrite this advert with some of my own text. So for example, this is from Twickenham's website. It may be that the club is showing the Barbarians game on TV in the club, and it would be possible for me to actually mention that on there if that's what I wanted to do. So that advert's now saved, and just to prove that, if I go to my adverts very quickly, there we go, it's there. Okay, so once again, I'm going to create a new advert. This one's a little bit different. Second way of introducing Screenspace is to use one of our templates. What we have here is literally hundreds and hundreds of templates that you can use and just adjust to what you need. Now, instead of me searching through all of them, what I'm going to do is just type in there we go, football. And then I'm going to click use. Now, these are all completely free, these templates. There's some video ones, there's some static ones. But essentially what you're able to do now is to manipulate this. If I want to change the date here, I can do it. It's very simple. I won't do it for the moment. If I want to move things around, I can do that very easily. So first of all, just while I'm designing on this one, I'm going to lock it in place. Okay, we're going to move this up here. Let's get it out of the way. So very possible in clubs, you'll have perhaps Sky TV or football or some other broadcast, whatever it is, rugby. You want to encourage people to come to your club to watch it. So very simply, how we can do that is we can take something like this. I'm just going to add in very quickly an image. Now, what I did earlier was just to save some time for the presentation, is I've put down the message I want to do and already got that as an image saved. So I'm going to go to my library. Okay, so I can now drop that in there. And what I'll do is, just to make it look nice, let's just make it a little bit opaque so it matches up with what we've got on the left-hand side. Now, this is a static advert. We want to make it a bit more exciting. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little animation. I'm going to make that 1 second. I'm going to start it a couple of seconds after the advert. And then what I can do now, there's two things. I want to make sure that's going to be fit on my screen okay. There's my little sort of safe guide. I know it's going to go on the screen. And then I'm going to preview it. And I could just preview it like that. Ignore the white band. It's just the way the presentation is doing now. You can see the little animation clicked in. So we'll escape that. We'll then call that Pub Football 33. Save the advert. So that's a method of using one of our templates. And then last but not least, the method of introducing content is to create our own advert. Don't be alarmed, it's really simple, it's really straightforward. If you've ever used something like PowerPoint or a Word document, the principle is really the same. Just bear me a second, my mouse is frozen. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to keep it really simple. Just going to make it nice video background. That's going to catch people's attention. By the way, all these videos that I'm using here are completely free of charge. They've all been downloaded. They're royalty free from the internet, so they're not going to cost you anything. There's various websites we can give you when you sign up that you can use those without any problem. So again, all we're doing is uploading it. Okay, that's done. So what we're going to do here, we're going to fit this to the screen. So that covers the whole back of my screen. Just while I'm designing, I'm going to lock the position and lock the size of this just so it doesn't move while I'm designing. And then what we're going to do now is just add in some other information. So the first thing we'll do is we're trying to promote children's football and activity here. So let's say that we're going to put our club logo in there, little badge. There we go. So we've got the wonderful logo. I can just position that there. That's the villains. We want to then add in some text. So what I'm going to do to save a lot of time here, I'm just going to cut in and with the text, I'm just going to quickly copy from another source. Okay, and then all we're going to do is just make that text. In this case, we want it to be a paragraph. So the layout I'm going to choose is paragraph for the text. That just means that as we adjust it, it will just shift and move along. Bit big on font size, so we'll just reduce the font size. Oops, a bit too much. Okay. And then what we could do to make that really stand out, so the sort of things that will make it really nice is we can choose a different color. So we'll go for a nice dark blue. Great. We'll give it a little bit of styling. So in this case, we'll give it a little text shadow and we'll make it, let's say, a bit of yellow. And then last but not least, we could just add in a little bit of bold if we want to. And then we'll just take that down a little bit. And okay, so they're the kind of effects you could do, you know, very simply, very easily. And then all you have to do there is just say kids football. And that's an advert that literally saved from scratch. So, and designed from scratch. So it's really, really easy. You just put layer upon layer, and you don't have to be a designer. I don't have any designing skills, as you can see, but it's very simple to do. That's now an engaging, exciting advert. It's going to get people's attention. Okay, so once you've got these adverts together, what do we do with them? Well, we want to make a playlist. So the first thing I'm going to do here is go new playlist. And then to create a playlist, it's really, really straightforward. Is I'm just going to do that, 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 that. If I want to on any of these, like the bars video, it's 38 seconds. Well, I only want that to be 10 seconds. It's a bit long. Same with the kids football. We'll make that 10 seconds. And then once I've got that playlist and I'm happy with it, all I need to do is say, Mark Sports Club. I'll save that playlist. Once that's saved, all I then have to do is say, right, I'm going to publish that playlist. So I pick the screen I want to publish to. So what I'm going to do is pick the screen behind me, Mark's office. Click there, publish it. And what will happen in the next few minutes is on the screen behind me, you can see it taking place already. It's just going to start updating. And once that updates, and I can keep an eye on updating that if I want to, just by my little screens page here. I can see there's some information. So this at the moment, that little player in the screen's gone live to the internet, gone to the Screenspace CMS, and that's what it's downloading. And any second now, that's going to appear behind me as an advert. It's downloaded. It should actually appear on this head of us there. Famous last words, he says. No, it's changing the playlist over now. So any second now, there you can see it. So we've got our little Sky TV one. In about 10 seconds time, that will change over again to the next one. One of the really nice, neat things about Screenspace, there's the kids training one behind me. If I ever want to very quickly see what's playing, I can actually click on the screen that I want to, and it gives me an example of what's playing live out. So it's a live snapshot of what's playing. So it's really, really easy to do. In terms of Screenspace, that is the design elements, how easy it is to do, etc., etc. So I'm not going to bore you with any more about the actual sort of design process. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I also want, more importantly, to give you kind of a glimpse of the future, which Steve will do in a minute. In terms of schedules and things like that, it's a much more detailed presentation, but what I'd be happy to do is, if anybody wants a one-on-one presentation at your convenience, we'd be happy to do that for you. but that's just a a quick example of how easy it is to do. So unless there are any questions, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Mark, if just there's one question
Please.
that's come through, which I feel like is quite relevant to where we're at right now. So somebody's asked, do you need a unit for each TV, or will one unit be able to play on multiple TVs?
No, it's I'll show you that on the pricing page, but we're very transparent. It's one unit per TV.
And like you see there, you can group those TVs together. So you could say, I want to show this playlist on all of these screens at once.
Absolutely. So you could literally play out to 5 screens in a group, click one button, and that would be it. And as I said earlier, those screens don't have to be in the same room or even on the same continent or country. It could be anywhere in the world simultaneously.
Great.
So with that, I'll stop sharing. Actually, I won't. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just move to this slide here. What I'm going to do now is I will stop sharing in a second, but who I'm going to hand you over to, this is Steve. He's going to show you the future of Screenspace. And as I said, he's the resident genius behind Screenspace. So I'll leave the rest of it to him.
Thanks for that, Mark. That's very kind of you. I'm Steve. I'm BitView's CTO. Mark's asked me to share a quick preview of what we're releasing in June. So that's every engineer's nightmare, really, to be asked to demo something that isn't finished, but I've bowed to the unbearable pressure that's been put on me. So you know, I think there's a good reason for it. I think it adds an awful lot of functionality to Screenspace. So one thing I will say, it is a work in progress here. So there's some bits that aren't quite as polished. We finished all the functionality, and now we're going through and adding some of the design features and making it really fit for release. So I'm going to share my screen now. Let me just get apologies. Right. Okay, so let me share screen. Okay, are we okay? Can everyone see the screen here? Yeah, okay, that's great. Okay, so what I'm going to give you a quick glimpse of is widgets. So what you'll notice here, as Mark said previously, everything on Screenspace is text, images, or videos, and that's pretty much everything that you'll ever see on a screen right there. We've added one button. This will be the last button we ever add to Screenspace, I think. It's the widget button. So what are widgets? Widgets are really cool. They are media objects. They will speed up the process of creating your media. They will add functionality to your screens. And what's really important about widgets is that they update themselves. So you won't have, once you create some designs with some widgets in them, you won't need to do anything to keep the information on them fresh and up to date, because they get a lot of their data from other sources. So this is a widget. I've added a widget. There's nothing. It doesn't have an identity at the moment, and these are our types of widgets. And the really good thing for us about widgets is that they're really easy for us to add to the system. So we're going to be adding lots of these after June. They will expand quickly and add lots of new really cool functions. For now, I'll just going to run through them quickly, give you an idea of what we have. So the first few are like super simple. This idea of a little text slideshow. So anything that you want to put up here, you know, it's a well understood news ticker, I guess. And what each widget will have styles. So we have another style of news ticker here, which is a kind of horizontal scrolling, a kind of teleprinter type type ticker. we also are in this kind of category. We also have an image slideshow. So you can do this stuff in the normal designer, but it will take you a little bit more time. This is going to be a really quick way of just uploading images, turning it into a slideshow, and you just leave it there on the side. And these images, obviously, you know, animals of the savannah aren't really particularly interesting to amateur sports clubs, but promotions, supporters, you know, and anything that you could imagine here sitting in the background while you've used the rest of your screen to do, you know, communicate more relevant information. It's kind of all part of what digital signage is about. So other things we have clocks. So this isn't quite hooked up at the moment yet, but you know, it's very simple to add some time there. We're going to have different sorts of clocks as well. We've done this for a customer. They wanted a Rolex actually, so we added a Rolex. But not really my taste. We've got to put some hands on it yet. One of the things we'll be adding here are countdown clock. That's something that's quite useful in retail, but if you're looking, maybe we'll have calendar apps here as well, so kind of end of the season type thing, a countdown to the end of the season. So that this will be an interesting function that we'll add. We have news and weather. Weather, obviously, we're all very interested in weather. All of our widgets, they will all update. So depending on your style, the design that you're trying to do here, it will basically just try to size itself the best way it can. And there'll be, this is our widget control panel here. We'll be adding lots of controls here, which will allow you to customize this. But if you don't want to get too deep into customization, the idea is that once it's here, it looks good in its own right. So you'll be able to just set a postcode or a town, and this will give you your weather, 3 hour, or something a bit more, a little bit longer term. This one is almost full screen. Actually, this is something we're doing for another customer. So that is weather. What else have we got here? So social media. This is really important for amateur sports clubs. So at the moment we've done just Twitter and Facebook. So for Twitter, what we're going to do is we will release this with, you'll be able to specify an account, and you can either just have every tweet from that account, or you'll be able to specify a hashtag. Now, what we envisage this doing will, in our experience, my experience, I go along to non-league football a fair bit. There's always, every club kind of has a nominated Twitter commentator. So if you have a trusted commentator that is in charge of your account, then you can put your account and a hashtag, and only tweets that have the hashtag will come up on your digital signage. So what we're seeing, what the idea of this really is that this is going to be a kind of live score card, if you like, where obviously for amateur sports, live scores not necessarily available currently. We've got some ideas about that, but hopefully we can work with Pitch Hero on that one. So this is, this is a way of getting live scores and live events on your screen. Moving on from social media, so this is an interesting one. Digital signage and tables are not good bedfellows, shall we say. Tables aren't particularly easy to do. This is just a league table. So we've created a widget for league tables. This is something that we can update in our back end. So it takes no work at all to create a league table. This is one of our customers, Camp Hill, in this particular league. Obviously, once you've created a advert here, you can then customize that. I've obviously got some bits and pieces that I've uploaded previously, and you can turn this into something. Some of these work, some of them don't. It's a little bit early days yet. So essentially what we're doing here is creating something which is a kind of more of an information screen rather than an advert. So you have your playlists and you run your adverts, and they're for however long they need to be run, and then you can run things that are kind of going to be a bit more conversational. And I think we all know what it's like to pore over a league table and have that discussion about how we're going to do at the end of the season. Probably Mark less so than anyone else, being a Chelsea supporter. So this is going to be updated basically by us. You're going to be able to choose your sports here, and then you're going to be able to choose the actually change the color there somehow. You're going to be able to choose the league that you're in. So it's kind of free data, this stuff, and we suck it in at the back end, and then we offer it up as a widget. On top of that, we are hoping to add a kind of live score feed. This really depends on us doing well and getting people to use tweets really and hashtags. So it would be great if we could bring live scores to amateur sports. We think that would be a real bonus for everyone. Beyond that, fixture lists. It's always an issue for me. I'm although I like my non-league football, quite an infrequent visitor, and it's not always easy to go and find fixtures on various websites. It's a real pain, and it always bothers me. So I'm kind of big on the idea of having fixtures available, and this is something that in digital signage, it's quite a pain to create these tables, but if we can just add a little widget that instantly gives you a fixture list, and that's something that's easily updated, then that's going to be good for everyone. What else have we got? So menus. These are a big part of running an amateur sports club. We went out and looked at menus and found, so we have some menu templates. The problem with menu templates is they try to be all things to all people. So we did a little bit of market research, and our customers kind of liked the templates, but they weren't quite right. So they were all creating templates themselves. So the idea of a menu widgets is that you can kind of quickly build a menu with kind of snippets. So depending on how what your menu might look like, I can pretty quickly come up with some, change the design here a little bit. Let's see if I can. I'm not particularly the world's greatest designer. That's going to become clear fairly quickly. But let me see if I can create this whilst everyone is watching. So let's do that. I mean, I've always thought if I can do this, then essentially anyone should be able to do it. So the great menu widgets are snippets of menus. So let's say this might be the kids menu over here. So it's fairly simple. Each item on the menu, you can just change those. A little bit of padding for some artistic integrity. I'm not going to go through and fill all of these in because it all just we all want to get home. So again, this is just a menu snippet. It's all pre-laid out, so you can't really can't really go wrong with this. And any of these items here, you know, oh, we've got a spelling mistake. So you can see you quickly build up a menu, and you know, obviously that's an important part of any sports club's revenue stream. So other widgets, we've got a corporate who's on location. This is just about this is something we're actually doing for one of our customers, Sharp. This attaches to Sharp's system, and it lets you know who's actually still on site. So probably not something that's going to be particularly useful to amateur sports clubs, but what this demonstrates is really sucking in information from third-party systems and displaying it in a way that's kind of useful to digital signage. So you know, the big thing really to get over with widgets is that they save you a lot of time. They connect to other data sources, so it means you don't have to continually refresh your advertising. There are some other sides to this which I can't really show you at the moment, whereby you will be able to change some of these items. So for instance, if we were going to do a league table and something, and you wanted to update this manually, you wouldn't have to go to this screen. There is we will be releasing another screen which is going to essentially be a like a spreadsheet, and it's what we wanted to do is create a really familiar user interface that everyone's comfortable with using, because not everyone, we understand that not everyone wants to see a kind of artistic editor. Some people just, you know, if you want to change, especially for something like a menu, if you want to change a price, you may not want to come into this screen. You may just want to quickly go over to a spreadsheet and just change the price there, and those updates will happen instantly. There's no sending of data. It's within 3 seconds it'll be that change will be on the screen. So this is a huge change. It's going to come in June. I think personally it'll add a good 50% to the functionality of Screenspace, and we're really looking forward to rolling that out. So on that note, I will hand back to Mark.
Okay, if you could stop sharing, Steve, that would be great. No problem.
Stop sharing.
No problem. Okay, well, thanks very much for that. One of the things that I always find with Steve is always really exciting is kind of what he's got in the pipeline. He's covered that very technically, but what you've got to think of is all the things there, once they're polished up, will just make life very easy. You'll be able to make further use of your social media. You'll be able to make use of Instagram. You'll be able to create things like menus or bar tariffs really easily, really quickly, really simply. Thanks to Steve. Just approaching the end of our webinar tonight. So really what I want to do now is just what this is all about tonight is what can Screenspace deliver for my club? What can it do for you? And these are the things that we really just want to sort of reiterate tonight. First of all, it's going to hugely increase exposure for existing sponsors. I wrote here, nothing catches the eye like a TV advert. When we gave the title for the webinar, where that increase of 50%, you know, had double your sort of fundraising, where it came from is the guys who are actually using Screenspace for themselves. You may have read their testimonials already, but Screenspace really delivers really visible, discernible benefits for their sponsors. It's not just a poster on the wall or a static bit of, you know, perimeter fencing. It's something that is there. And more importantly, what they're able to do is go to their existing sponsors and say, look, if you've got a promotion or an event coming up, let us promote it for you, or let's do something jointly. And they were prepared to pay for that. So that's really, really important. At the same time, it's all about attracting new sponsors as well. Now, if you had Screenspace, you would be able to show people, look, here's examples of adverts that we've done for other advertisers, other sponsors, and it's really something that you can actually go out now and be really proactive in what you do. And what I mean by that is, if you're looking to attract new sponsors, historically in amateur sports, what tends to happen, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this, where a lot of the sponsorship comes from, it's either people who are involved in the club who run their own business, or one or two local advertisers who are sympathetic to what you're trying to do. What you can do now as a club is actually go out and be much more proactive. You can go to a potential new sponsor and say, look, the benefit of you advertising with us and putting your name on our screen is your advert will be seen by X number of people X times a week. One of our existing customers has a really powerful argument when he goes to see new potential advertisers. He says, very simply, each weekend we get over 1,600 people through our club doors. That's who's going to be looking at your advert. They're going to be seeing it, you know, every 30 seconds or every 1 minute. So very powerful argument. In addition to that, it's one thing if you've got bigger sponsors, you can invest a bit of money to, you know, do some work for them. But there's a lot of opportunity to do things with smaller guys as well. As you've seen with Screenspace, it's very easy to design stuff. The subscription's a fixed price, so you can create 500 adverts if you want in Screenspace. There's no extra charge. It can be done easily, it can be done instantly, and that's a really important consideration. One thing with all of our existing customers, what they're doing, and this is real data, their own fundraising and social events are selling out much quicker. And the reason for that, we've all done it. If you put a poster up, it tends to kind of lose its effect and impact. If you've got a screen that's doing the selling for you, and you can refresh the message and update people about tickets are selling fast, those kinds of things, it makes a really, really big difference. A couple of other things, menu or bar special offers. There's no better way to promote if you've got an offer on a particular brand or product or a drink, whatever it is. Also, one important thing that I would mention, whoever is supplying the bar at your club, a lot of the big brewing companies will pay good money to have their products featured on a screen. So, you know, don't forget that. It's a real easy way of getting incremental income by just, you know, talking to those big guys and saying, how would you like your new lager promoted on our screen? It will be seen by 1,600 people every Saturday and Sunday, and we can do a promotion on it. Likewise, complementing your website and social media activity, it really is in your face sort of message reinforcement. Last but not least, and I think this is really important in amateur sports, certainly when I was younger, you know, sports were a really big part of my life, and creating a really sort of welcoming atmosphere at a club, I think, is really important. And if you've got a visiting club and you go to the trouble of putting up their badge, giving them a nice welcome message, A, it sets, you know, a nice tone for the club, and B, it shows how professional you are. And I think that's something that, you know, really is important. So in terms of Screenspace, you've seen how we design it, you've seen how really easy it is to do. And what you've got to imagine now is you've got that huge screen that's sitting probably in your club now. And apart from showing stuff on TV, live football, live rugby, live tennis, whatever it is, you're not really maximizing it. This is a way that's really affordable. You can maximize and change the whole dynamic of how you promote events, do your fundraising, how you attract sponsors, and more importantly, retain those as well. Also, we've got to look at effective community or safety announcements. In the last 2 years, it's been very relevant. Hopefully, we won't have to go through that again. But if something needs to be put up, it's a very good way of, you know, communicating with everybody instantly. Somebody raised a question earlier about pricing. What does Screenspace include? If we start on the left-hand side, just over here, the cost of the player, that little player you saw, is a one-off cost. Once you've got it, it's yours to keep, nothing else to be added. in terms of the cost of the player, £125, and then the subscription for an annual subscription, it's £100. So it's basically £10 a month.
Sorry, Mark. On that, Mark, can you share your screen again? I think it's gone off.
Oh, my apologies. Has it?
So that everyone can see it. Is that all right?
My apologies. Zoom. Sorry, Dan, you can see that now?
No.
Okay, what's happening? 1 second, sorry. Try that now.
Yeah, I think it's loading now. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
That makes it easier for everyone to see it.
Sorry, were you able to see the other slides?
We didn't see some of the other slides, but I think they were fine because of the way that we could, you explain them. But this one is more visual, so I feel like we need to easier to see this one, isn't it? And
yeah, no problem.
The slides we'll pass out the slides as well as.
Yeah, my apologies if that didn't come through. It's obviously a technical issue. It was showing sharing mine, so I don't know what happened. My apologies. As I was about to say, the cost of the player is a one-off, £125 plus VAT, and then the cost of the subscription is basically £100 each year. So it's equivalent of £10 a month. What that is for the ongoing unlimited cost of Screenspace. So if you want to create 500 adverts, put 500 videos up there, you can do that as many times as you want. And as the question that came in before, is that per screen? Yes, it is. So if you've got two screens, you'll need 2 players.
Mark, it's probably worth mentioning that all the continued development of Screenspace, it's advancing all the time. So what you subscribe to today, essentially, there are new features being added every month.
Yeah. No, it's a very sort of relevant point, Steve. My apologies. So that's the pricing. My apologies about the previous sort of signs not displaying. But what I would say is, and we'll share all this with you. We will at the end of this be contacting each of you, and we will do a special offer for you on Screenspace. So just watch out for that. And as we said at the beginning of the webinar, everybody who's attended tonight will go into the hat for a draw, and one of you will win basically £500 worth of Screenspace kit for your club. So we will make sure we do that as well. When you look at this, I think it's really important that where things are tough economically for everybody at the moment, it's really important to put this into context of what you're looking at. So assuming that you bought a player and then we've got 12-month subscription, well, that really sums up Screenspace and how cost effective it is. If you get one advertiser paying £2 a week, it covers the entire ongoing cost of Screenspace each year. So that's really something to think very sort of carefully about, because it really is cost effective. And bear in mind, what that gives you is the ability to compete with the big boys. There's nothing that we haven't shown you tonight that either exists already or is in the pipeline coming out in June and July, that you're basically seeing the same as great big retailers who we supply, people like Harrods, John Lewis, these sorts of guys, exactly the same functionality. So it's really important to bear that in mind. All I've got to do, and hopefully we're bang on time, is just to say, thanks very much for your time. We'd be delighted to answer any questions that you might have. So with that, I'll stop sharing and go back to sort of Daniel and see if there's any questions from anybody.
Great stuff. Yeah, thank you very much, Mark, Steve. That was really useful, and hope that the guys watching found that really useful as well. I will check on the Q&A. We've got one question from Michelle. Is a subscription for multiple screens, or do you need a subscription for each screen? I think we answered that, but if you want to
You know, so that is correct. It's one player, one subscription per screen. Longer term, we do have some plans to kind of give some added value by sort of, you know, doing multiple screens and giving a discount. But at the moment, it's one player, one screen.
Cool.
There was one question that I tried to answer, but I don't think I'm allowed to type, which was about can you have 4 adverts on a playlist or more than one playlist running at a time? You can have as many adverts as you want in a playlist. And you can so if anyone has any needs a deeper demonstration, then we're more than happy to do that at another time, when we can certainly go into this stuff. A playlist, a schedule can have many playlists, so you can basically you can send hours and hours of content to the player, if that's what your requirement is, for sure. Yeah,
good stuff.
And I think we're going to share this recording, are we not? Is that true?
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we'll share the recording after this. There's no more questions right now, but I'll give another couple of minutes for questions. I've got one observation, something that you guys might be able to kind of add to as well.
Mm-hmm.
So at Pitch Hero, I've been involved with Pitch Hero for a long time, but also involved with grassroots sports clubs and involved in sourcing sponsors for that grassroots sports club. A system that we like to use and give advice to our clubs is around sponsorship tiers. So I could see this being really useful as part of a really kind of strategized and tiered approach to sponsorship. So, for example, you might have a gold sponsorship tier, a silver sponsorship tier, and a bronze sponsorship tier. Your gold sponsorship tier might give your sponsor maybe kit sponsorship plus website sponsorship plus 5 playlists on a Screenspace. You know, these are things that it's just another bow to your arsenal, isn't it? You know, a string to your bow, sorry, around the way that you can, the more value you can give to your sponsors, the more revenue that you can raise for your club. Have you guys seen that kind of a approach from some of your clients so far?
It's not something we've witnessed personally, but I totally agree with what you're saying. And I suppose you could even, you know, give sort of almost like a sub level of that in terms of, you know, different advertisers could have different levels of digital exposure, you know, on the pricing structure. So £2 a week guarantees you 20 adverts a week. You know, £5 a week might give you 100. It's really, it's limitless in how you can use this system and the revenue you can generate from it. And that's the most important thing. For a very small outlay, you can generate an enormous amount of revenue. And I suspect, based upon what we've seen with the users we've got already, you can probably increase existing revenue. And that's really important.
It's where sponsors love to see their product on TV. It's, you know, it has a certain amount of glamour that an A4 poster doesn't. You know, it's a great selling point, and it's something that you can take a sponsor to the screen, show them a TV, and you know they're going to walk away pretty happy knowing that their product is on TV. And as Mark said, you know, over the course of a weekend, over 1,000 people going through the club, seeing a more dynamic advert promotion is, you know, it's a real value for customers.
Okay.
Awesome. We do have one more question that's just come through, which is a really interesting one and something that I was thinking as well during the presentation. Will there be a widget for connection to our Pitch Hero websites? A direct feed from the page is already in place, would save even more time and effort for clubs.
We would like that very much. We are certainly speaking to Pitch Hero about that, and you know, it would definitely be top of our priority list for sure, because we see there's a huge synergy. If you're using Pitch Hero, then putting what you've got on your website, on your app, on a screen in your bar is a logical step, and you know, we would certainly make some development available to make that final step, because you don't want to be doing that extra work. You just want it to happen, and that's kind of what cloud development's all about.
Absolutely. And like I think it's clear, isn't it, that there would be a lot of benefit to the clubs using both systems. So we'll keep that conversation going, and I'm sure people more intelligent than me can decide if that's something that we can action. Yeah. Cool. Well, that seems to be it for questions. So as Mark said earlier, I think it's time to leave it there, and just thank everyone for attending, really. And we'll send out the recording of the webinar. We'll send out the slides as well, so that everyone's got the content that was in the slides as well as the recording. We'll draw the winner of the prize draw, and then I think Mark and the guys at Screenspace will be in touch with potentially a special offer, which is another added bonus for if you don't manage to win the prize draw.
Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mark. Thanks, Steve, for attending and helping us out with this one.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, take care. Thanks, everyone, for attending.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.